Okay, folks, I'm going to go over a little bit of how I made this film, The Trial, which was my entry into the Runway AI Film Festival. I kind of just, to be honest with you, just pushed this thing out. Um, a lot of things went on and stuff, so it's not the highest quality, but anyway, it went through. So this first shot here of the spaceship coming over the Earth was all generated in Runway. So I just did a prompt where I did a prompt and asked for a spherical alien spaceship covered with laser turrets. It gave me this, and I reused that same image for a couple of different shots here. Actually, I was fairly impressed with this one, but this was pretty nice.
What is wrong with this planet?
Okay, then when we go inside the alien ship, everything in here is done in Blender from here on. And these two guys here, these two aliens, were guys I got off of Mixamo. Again, I found out about the film festival about maybe something like 2 weeks or so before it occurred, so I didn't have a lot of time. And what I did was I motion captured myself in Rococo. I played all the parts. I did the voices. I regenerated in 11 Labs. So this guy here, he's like the adjutant or whatever, the prosecutor. I just motion captured myself, and then I wanted a character I didn't have to do lip sync on, so I kind of hid his face and stuff. I got a guy that just had like a mechanical mask type face helmet. You'll notice here with the hands how they look kind of like claws. So this is a problem I had with the Rococo stuff and the Mixamo, or with a bunch of the characters when they came in to Blender. There was a lot of problems with the motion capture itself. Looked fine in Rococo, and when I brought it into Blender, it did not look all that great. So there's a lot of problems, and I'm finding out that there's other systems that are actually better at doing this than this workflow that I had. So as you can see here, the hands look kind of messed up. A lot of times I just deleted all the keyframes for the hands. So I didn't have time to go back and do all this stuff.
Species intervention. This one, hominid.
These humans are
So the captain here, again, a Mixamo character. The facial animation I did in a add-on for Blender called Faceit. So I just brought him in there, and you run the Faceit thing on just the head mesh, and it will add these markers and stuff and create the blend shapes, and then you can take the lip sync video that you created with your iPhone or whatever, and map that onto that. He was the only character I was able to get the Faceit to work on kind of semi-correctly. And you'll see his face doesn't kind of deform correctly, but I didn't have time to mess with it.
legendarily terrible.
I did like the way that the 11 Labs voice came out. So again, I did all the voices, I did all the acting and stuff, but I thought that it actually made me sound kind of very snarky and stuff, and I really enjoyed that. Everything else I did myself, all the backgrounds and everything like that, and the lighting and all that. So again, it was a rush job, but it is what it is.
Then we leave them to their fate.
But there are many other
So I was going heavily into like some compositing and stuff, and I added. So let's get to the part where we get to the AI backdrop. So because I knew in the film festival you had to use some AI tools to generate images and videos, so I used them whenever I could, but I didn't want them to be the entire point of the video or of the film. So I just used them sparingly in the background. So for these background elements where he describes how other animals are intelligent, and I actually did a bunch of different ones that never made it into the film. I had the octopus at one time like answering a cell phone or something, and it came out pretty stupid. The crow, I was trying to have the crow like pick something out of a bottle or something, like if you've seen videos of crows doing stuff like that. It could not understand certain prompts, and this one was just a cat playing chess. I did a prompt of a cat playing chess, and some of the stuff looked pretty good as far as the actual render quality, but the actual animation of the cat did not look very good in AI.
ravens, others.
You can see that the cat does not move the chess piece in the right way.
A targeted gurge is our most extreme measure.
I found out that I unknowingly blink a lot when I do these motion captures. I have that phone thing with the headset right on my face, and I wasn't accustomed to it being right in front of my face, so that got a little bit kind of unnerving. So that's why I blink a lot during this motion capture of the alien captain. And then finally, when we get to
Neural and language update.
Okay, so again, these holographic displays were all done in Runway, and I found that AI generation tools are good at doing stuff like this. So if I want to do like computer displays in the background, I think they're really good at this kind of stuff. I don't care for AI generated stuff for an entire film. It's getting better and stuff, but I still haven't seen it do characters where you can direct them and move them in the ways you want them to. It's done for more expressionistic content. So I use it for these holographic displays. That way it's more of an enhancement than a tool that replaces the creative process. So we finally are going to get to the human character here in a second. Here we are. So that was a human character. So this is a guy I got out of iClone, a kind of a character base character that I modified a little bit and then just put some clothes onto him in iClone and stuff. And so let me switch to iClone and show you the process. So here we are inside of the iClone software. So the problem is I have a headset, to put the iPhone into, and so I did like a slate thing where I clapped my hands and said the word clap at the same time.
Clap.
So that I could synchronize everything. There's some facial motion capture tools in iClone, and I could never get them to work correctly at all. And so what I had to do was I went into plugins. Where's it at again? Animation. I gotta select this guy first. There we go. Go to Animation, Create Script, and then go to Aculips, and then you can load in an audio file, and then you can load in a text file, a script to go with it, line up the text with the audio file, and it will create the phonemes for you, which is what was done here. As you can see here. So he's getting up, and then he says,
I'm on a spaceship. And we're on trial.
Okay, so what I did was I just did the Aculips for the lip sync, and then I went in to was it Motion Puppet here? Nope. Face Puppet. Come on, you. It'll take a while. So you go into Face Puppet, and then you can add different expressions. All right, and then you can add different presets, and then you can say, okay, well, I want this kind of a general preset, and then you can just hit the preview mode, and when you move the mouse around, it will apply that expression in different ways depending on which direction you move the mouse. It will, for example, you can select just the eyebrows, and then it will apply the expression to just the eyebrows. This is an anger expression, for example. And so I went in and did a few passes of that, and again, I was, I keep saying this, but I was running out of time, and I did a bunch of passes on that. What you see here is the final result, which I did not like. I did not like that at all for any of these things. Actually, there was very few shots of the human that I was happy with. I like the guys there a lot more. Oh, here's another one where
From the prosecution.
I did when the prosecution presents its case. I did some runway stuff that was kind of fun. I did things like people dancing while the world burns and stuff like that.
Humanity was gifted with a planet of bountiful resources. They seem to delight.
So as you can see, I did some fun stuff. Girls in dresses walking during the wildfires in New York. People dancing while the thing burned. This businessman burning down the thing on purpose. And again, the whole premise is that humanity's on trial because we messed up the environment. And I guess I'm in kind of a nihilistic mood lately, and I think that we've kind of messed things up, and we just continue messing things up. And I just don't see any point, any hope for us. So that's why I made this film. I was kind of like in a down mood about humanity in general. So that's why the ending is the way it is of the film. But you can get some nice, fun stuff. This one up in the upper corner here, the
in the
Korean
destruction
fire,
of the very thing that keeps them
came out
alive.
pretty good. So you can get some good stuff in here. Of course, I did a lot of other generations of AI video content that never made it into the film. I tried to do ones about at the time that I made this, there was a big flood or something, and I did one of like guys on cell phones walking around. There is one where it comes up here.
They can see the
Yeah, this one here. So I did this. It was supposed to be the big flood was coming up behind them, and they don't recognize it. They don't see it coming, and it could not figure out how to do a flood coming down the street. This one with the hipsters walking, and that was supposed to be based on the wildfires in LA at the time. So some of the stuff
effects of
came
environmental
out pretty good.
destruction in front of them.
So it's good for stuff like this that you need to generate quickly, and it's going to be a background element or something. So again, I was not happy at all with the way that the lighting or anything like that came out of when I brought the iClone character into Blender. So if I look at the iClone character, now granted, I was not able to get the facial expressions the way I wanted to, but as you can see, the character's pretty expressive here. He's got some really deep detail on the eyes and whatnot, but and the hair, and when I brought it in, I used the plugin that is recommended by iClone, and when I did that, I mean, it's better than I could have done on my own, but as you can see, it didn't quite come in the way I liked it. So live and learn. But I'm going to be transitioning over to Unreal Engine with MetaHumans. I've done some tests on that, and I'm blown away. It's so much better than this, and the quality of the animation, facial animation especially, so much better. Also, although the human, so this is a guy that came in again from iClone. If we go back to iClone, you'll see that I applied. What I did was I just dropped that Rococo motion capture onto this guy.
Humanity.
So you can see that it looks a little bit better. The hands aren't exactly claws, but I had to do a lot of cleanup on this, especially the shoulders. The shoulders are always weird. They're always kind of hunched back in this weird way. So as bad as this might look sometimes, I had to do a lot of work to even get it this good. And the hands always kind of bow out in this weird direction. You can see it here. And I don't have time to show you the original motion capture, but the original motion capture did not look that bad. I found that in Rococo Studio, if you export to the new UE5 Unreal Engine 5 skeleton and bring that into Unreal with a MetaHuman, it looks a lot better. You don't have these problems with the hands. There's still some clipping, but you can easily adjust that with an additive layer. It's not that bad. So again, and then the lip sync did not match a lot because I was dealing with a lot of these problems when I made this under these tight time frames. Never an excuse, but that's just the way it happened. All right, so I put this stuff out here so you can learn from my mistakes. And I went kind of a little bit overboard on the post-processing effects. I was messing around with these, and I just want to kind of hide the mistakes as much as possible, and also give it an ethereal quality so that he's in here. You figure he's just brain has just been scrambled, so I figured he's going to be in kind of a fog, so I gave it this kind of foggy kind of atmosphere and stuff. Again, I just this is not what I was hoping for. The eyes look very flat, and when you come in again, this is what I thought when I brought this character in. I thought, well, at least the eyes are going to look good. Look at those eyes; they're bugged out, but man, they look really detailed. And then you bring them into Blender, and so anyway, there's a lot going on. But I'm not going to deal with that anymore. I'm going to do everything and move everything over into Unreal. Also, sometimes there's some clipping, which I didn't catch at first, but you'll see sometimes a little bit of clipping. And what you can do is you can create a mask modifier in Blender. You can select the I think you actually select the parts you want shown, and then everything else will be hidden. And then all the geometry that you do not select will be hidden. And so there were some other shots where, yeah, here's one here where I actually later on I rendered that one a while back, and then later on there were some that were pretty egregious, and I managed to use the mask modifier, but I didn't have time to go back and re-render everything. So this was all rendered in Eevee, and it wasn't that bad. It looks okay, but you know, I could never have rendered this in Cycles. I'd still be rendering it today if I did this in Cycles. Cycles takes way too long to render. So and then later on he goes and talks to the AI of the ship. Let's get there. Okay, so the AI of the ship here, and again, this is another one that was done in Runway. I just created I gave it a prompt of like a holographic, a computerized eye or whatever, and then I took a spotlight or a point light and gave it like a volumetric thing so that when it talked, I just flashed the light.
No.
Why
So
was
you could see that when she did that, when she said no, she kind of, that light flashed. So that was all inside of Blender there. But the actual kind of, there's subtle movements inside of this hologram of the eye, and I thought it kind of came out kind of cool. So, and it was, you know, something I was able to do quickly. So again, AI tools, good for this kind of stuff. I enjoy using it for this kind of thing, like a background element, stuff like that. I do not enjoy using it for an entire film or to replace things. We'll see what happens when VO3 takes over, but for right now, animators, I guess, still have a job, because I found the tools to be lacking in a lot of ways. But okay, and then that was funny when the human asked for humanity to be destroyed, and then he's confronted with the actual destruction of himself. So I think what I did was, and this is another element that I created in Runway. A lot of the stuff I did just to test it out. So I asked Runway to create me like a laser beam effect, and then I also asked it to create like an explosion effect, and I took those two elements, composited them together. Also, this gun here, I did a concept art thing inside of Runway. I asked it to create a concept art of a retro space laser gun, and it gave me something along these lines, and I used that as kind of like a starting off point to model this space laser. So this is kind of similar to what Runway had given me, and the arms and stuff, I modeled all that myself. So, oh, a strange thing I need to say, I created this kind of a floating chair for the alien captain, did that all myself, and I decided I was going to create this, the arms, it's got some articulation to it, it moves around, and I did that originally as like an AI thing, and I've done millions and millions of shots of, you know, or hundreds of shots in Blender of, you know, using AI to control articulation of things, and I've never had any problems. And this one, it kept like shimmering, shaking and stuff, and I had to completely redo a bunch of shots because it didn't do it when I was working in the viewport. When I actually rendered it, it was like the chair would like kind of shake like violently back and forth only after I had done rendering. So that was a real hassle. So keep things as simple as they can. And then I decided to do show the alien ship like you know, blasting at Earth City with a laser. Apparently, there's a lot of prohibitions on violence in images. You can't even ask it for. I asked it to have like laser shooting out of it, out of the spaceship. It would not do it. It would only shoot like one laser. I said, you know, shoot multiple lasers out of the turrets. I did many different prompts and many different things. So what I had to do at the end was just go into After Effects and just create some beams in After Effects. I didn't have time to kind of match them up and stuff or add extra layers. So, and then this is a city that was done in Runway, and I asked it to, you know, blow up the city with lasers. It wouldn't do it. It would only just kind of add these puffs of smoke. So I had to add the lasers themselves. And that is the end of the show. So that's what it was. Take it for what it is. Learn from my mistakes. I have certainly learned from my mistakes. I'm not going to do a lot of these techniques again. I did not have fun doing that. I learned a lot, though. I learned a lot of stuff not to do. I learned a lot of you know, time management things, and I'm, you know, hopefully better for the process. So the next thing I do is going to be done in a completely different style, much higher quality. So I hope you enjoy what I did. There was a lot of work that went into this. It might not show it on screen. There was a lot of work that went into this film. So I'm back to making movies, I guess, for the time being. This stuff where Unreal Engine works out, I'll be making a bunch because you can turn things around really quickly and you can render like fast. That's the biggest thing too, is you find out you can't render things quickly. If you render something and there's a problem like that stupid chair, that stupid captain's chair there, right there where it was shaking and stuff for no apparent reason, you got to re-render a bunch of shots, or things like that guy's shirt was clipping through his skin or something. You got to re-render a shot, and it takes you like the entire night to re-render something. That's quite different from in Unreal, where it takes like maybe 15 to 20 minutes or half an hour. So, okay. So hope you liked it, and talk to you later.